So I don't even know where to start. This is just so crazy. So I haven't done this in a while. I tried this out because it just came, I was on my phone and I was like, oh, let's try Facebook. And I saw a dating thing. And I was like, why not? I'm single. It couldn't be worse than anything else. Is it like, I don't even know. Facebook dating is like the worst of the worst. I thought it couldn't get worse. Yeah, so I talked to a few guys. They were crazy. They had issues. One guy, he had issues, but I kind of had fun talking to him. He was crazy and had issues. And I talked to a few. They seemed okay. Then I realized they were crazy. And then it seemed like some were looking for sex. And it's like, I get why you're looking for sex because you have micro penis. I don't know. It seems like an epidemic on Facebook dating broke with micro penis and short. But then there was this last guy that inspired this video. So I get a message from this guy. He looks familiar, and I think this guy has been like tracking me down on different sites. I don't know, because he looks like this guy, and then because the height is what gave it away. Where I'm like, I think I've talked to you before, and he's denying it, but he sounds like he's from somewhere where he looks like somebody I've seen before. Because it's like there's not that many guys that are walking around that are 6'10". And I was talking to him, then he's like, oh, I'm not going to say how old he is, but he was like, he's this old. He lives with his mother. Then he was like, he had a business in a town of less than 30,000 people. And he's like, oh, I sold my business for over $800,000. And I'm like, you ran a small business in a small town. What large company's going to buy it for $800,000? And it's like, you're not doing anything that's all that great. And I'm just like, okay, this man is lying. He's delusional. And then I asked him, what does he do for work? He tells me he's a Twitch streamer. So I'm like, okay, what's your job? And then he's like, I told you I'm a Twitch streamer. And I'm like, okay, how much do you make from that? And he keeps calling me right now while I'm making this video. Because he's blaming me for his sexual frustrations issues because I thought he had micro penis. And then he just started being perverted, doing stuff. And then it was like, he said something and I'm thinking he's joking. And then he pulls something out. So this conversation is just like, it is crazy. And I'm trying to figure out, like, what is his job? How does he support himself? He's like, I live with my mother. And he's like way too old to be living with his mother. And he's like, some company, he didn't say what company, paid him $800,000. I'm like, okay. Because he lived in California, but he said he moved to another state. And I'm like, okay, that state's really cheap. You could have bought a house. You could have bought a condo. You could have bought a few properties and still had money to live off for a few years or whatever. And I'm like, okay, if you sold your business, why not buy a house, invest, and do stuff? Because it was like, if he had that much money, he could have bought a few properties and then rented them out or something and did all this stuff. And he could have started a new business where he is if he made all this money. And he's like, no. He's like, I'm a Twitch streamer. I make $80 a month. And I'm like, okay, how long have you been a Twitch streamer? He's like, a year. And I'm like, what do you mean? Why is it so hard for you to get subscribers? I'm like, why don't you do YouTube? I've done YouTube and I've really focused on it for the past few weeks. And I have over 1,000 people who subscribed. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. And it's like, I'm trying to figure this guy out because he's like, oh, do you want to be my girlfriend? And I'm like, what do you mean? You don't have a job. You live with your mother. You're too old for that. I'm not going to give his age. But and then he's like, oh, you look so young and you're so pretty and all this stuff. And I hope you understand what I mean when I said he pulled it out. Yeah, he pulled that out. And then he tried to blame me. It's like, if guys do that normally, they do it on a date and they try and blame me. They don't do it on the internet and like go, oh, it's your fault. And it was like, nothing happened. It's like those delusional guys you go out on a date with, then you turn your head, and the next thing you know, they pulled it out, and it's like, what? And then they're blaming you, and it's like, yeah, you didn't do anything. And it wasn't like you were even wearing anything revealing. It was like you were dressed like it was a freezing winter storm, but somehow you're covered from head to toe, and you might show a fingertip, and you show your face, but you're being too sexually explicit, and you showed a fingertip in your face. Yeah, I don't get that, because it's like I cover up and everything. People are like, oh, you're that's like a turn on, and it's like, okay, I wear clothes, okay. And people are like, you wear too many clothes. It's like, I'm fine. But back to this situation. So, well, not the situation, just my Facebook dating review. It is the pits of hell worst dating site. So then there was this, because this guy, he is like, oh, he told me he was trying to get a job at Target and stuff. And it's like, I'm not hating on Target and everything, but he's claiming he's educated, this great guy and everything. And it's like, I'm like, okay, what's your degree in? Where did you work? And stuff. And then he's like, oh, I try to work at Target. I can't work at Target. I'm allergic to this. And I'm like, okay, are you on disability or something? He's like, no, I'm just living with my mom. And he's like, oh, she wants me here. And it's like, okay, but get a job. And he's like, I'm helping my mom. It's like, no, you're leeching off your mom. Yeah, so, and I think that guy, because I'm like bad at remembering people, but I know that guy, because it's like, you don't meet 6'10" people every day. It's like, I'm not roaming around the NBA or something. And this guy wouldn't qualify for the NBA. He was like a 6'10" white guy that would not make basic training or whatever, if they even have that. So that was weird. So then yesterday, there was this other guy. He was messaging me on Facebook dating. And I decided to respond when I noticed he was messaging me directly, because I thought he was messaging like a room or something. But turns out he was messaging me directly. And I decided to respond. And then he was talking. He's like, I'm an engineer. I'm 5'8". Let's be friends or whatever. I'm like, okay. Oh, wait, no. It was like he was interested in dating me. I was like, let's be friends. And then I'm like, friends. And it's like, you friend zone him right away. And I'm like, friends. And he's like, oh, can I see pictures of you and stuff? I'm like, if you're just my friend, why do you need to see pictures of me? Even if you weren't my friend and it's like you saw me live on video, why do you need pictures of me? And that's weird when guys do that. And it's like you're live video chatting with someone. It's like they see you live action and they know you're real. And they're like, can I see pictures of you? It's like, what do you need pictures of me for? That's creepy. It sounds like you're going to use them to go do some private stuff. And I was like, friends. And then he was like getting weird. So then I just ignored him. And then he's messaging me this morning. And he's like, oh. And he messaged me and I didn't respond. But yesterday he was like, oh, do you want to date and all this stuff? Because like guys keep like talking about me about dating and stuff. And it's like, yeah, I'm not really interested. And then when I friend zone you, because I'll friend zone you really quick. And I'll just be like, friends, we can be friends. And like, I'll even tell guys, I'll even make jokes, like, you can be like my lesbian friend. And when I say that, it's because I'm straight and I like I like guys, but they're straight and they like girls. So you like girls, I like guys, you like me, I'm not into you. So it's like you're a lesbian friend, because it's like I'm not into you. So, yeah, that was weird. And then there was this other guy not too long ago. He was nice and everything, but then turns out he was married. And there were like a few other people. And then there was this other guy, I talked to him. And he was like, he's busy. He was working at night, like late at night and stuff. And I'm like, what do you do? And he's like, Walmart. And I'm like, oh, you're like in tech or something? Because I know they opened a new office around here. And he's like, no, he just said Walmart. And I'm like, what do you do at Walmart? He didn't really tell me, but I'm assuming it was retail. And I'm not even like hating on these guys. It's, yeah, I don't understand it. And and then this guy who I was talking to, the guy that was 6'10", he's like, oh, he doesn't work. He hangs out with his mom. I'm like, are you at least getting an education? Are you taking classes to get a degree or something? He's like, no. Because it's like, are you getting a trade? Are you getting a steal? He's like, nope, can't, allergic. So he's like, he's looking for a girlfriend and stuff. This is a 6'10" guy I'm back to because it gets even more disturbing. But yeah, so we talked and he was like, he's not doing anything to improve his life or do anything. And he hasn't had a job in years. And he lives with his mother and he does nothing but Twitch. So he was like, he wants me to be his girlfriend and stuff. I'm like, how is that going to work? You don't have a job and everything. He's like, I have a job. I make $80 a month off Twitch. And he's like, oh, you have to be on there. And it's like, I would assume you'd be on there all the time. And even when you fall asleep or whatever, because you have no job. And then I'm like, why don't you work on Twitch so you can be more successful with it? And he's like, oh, people play other games. They don't want to see the games that I play. And I'm like, why don't you play those games then? And he's like, oh, I don't want to. And it was like, okay, this man is really against working. And then it was like, I just threw out that joke because, like that joke where you check to see if he's gay. Because I always throw that out there. And I kept calling him girl and stuff. And I was checking to see if he was gay. And I was saying something. And I was like, oh, so you like trans girls and stuff. And I'm joking. And he's like, yeah, I messed around with some trans girls. He's like, oh, they're only after sex. And then he's like, oh, I messed around with a bunch of trans dudes and stuff. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta go. And then he's like, you made me horny. You made me horny. It was like, I didn't do shit. It was like, we had a short conversation. You left, said you had to talk to your brother. And then you come back like an hour later. And then you're talking about you're horny. And it's like, what the fuck's going on? Why did you get horny talking to your brother? And then he pulled his stuff out. And I was like, yeah, no. Yeah, that's basically what happened. Facebook dating, and I'll keep you updated because I've tried a few things. But then there was this guy, he seemed cool. He was crazy though. And he didn't like to leave his house. And then he like quit his job and had all these issues. And like he kept sending dick pics all the time. And he was like, oh, send me a picture of you. And it's like, yeah, I don't send pictures like that. And I don't really send pictures in the first place. And it was like, we video chatted. I don't understand. If you video chat with somebody, why are they asking you for pictures unless they're using it for their special time for later? I don't understand it. Doesn't make sense to me. But I'll keep sharing my dating stories because I'm going to go back on there and see who else likes me and explore because that shit's funny and crazy. And it's like the worst of the worst. But then you hear about people who found love and all this stuff, and it's like, I could be in a relationship with someone, but it's like, I don't even have that high of standards. My standards are like basic. Yeah, the engineer guy, he just seemed like weird, because it was like, I wasn't that into him because he was short, and I just wasn't attracted to him. But then the whole picture thing and stuff, and then I was like friend zone, and then he like just kept trying to like be in a relationship, and it was like, yeah, no. Yeah, but tech guys are cool. I've dated a lot of engineers. Surprisingly, I've dated, in my dating history, I've dated the most guys from India. But I don't understand guys from India. But I've dated more guys from India than anywhere else. Yep. If you like, watch, and subscribe. Bye.